So we're gonna check out the games of 2024.
2023 was a huge year for games, and why would they want to stop? Of course they don't want to stop. It looks a lot like they're trying to carry that momentum, and we got a lot of big titles hitting us in the first half of the next year. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, the top 10 new games of the first half of 2020.
Talk to me.
Do any of okay, it's gone now, but there was like Mario vs. Donkey Kong thing on my screen for the longest time. It was just starting to annoy me.
That little pop up.
The little,
Yes.
pop up. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
24. Starting off with number 10, it's Tekken 8, which is a massive, big ol' thing. It's the first high-profile fighting game to use Unreal Engine 5. It is the first Tekken game to use Unreal Engine 5.
What the fuck is Engine 5?
It's the
They used it for Red Dead Redemption 2.
I was like, that's just the kind of like the programming code that the universe that they use for a lot of now a lot of games. I guess it's the ease of use of programming and stuff and fitting it into that, and it captures a lot of like I guess ultra realistic graphics and stuff. So it's just
I've been
it's a
hearing that a
world
lot.
building tool. Like so, like the whole background and everything is Unreal Engine, the particle physics, the way the characters move and stuff. It's way easier to use than you would think. I don't know if you remember, I told you I didn't know you could just download Unreal Engine and play around in it. You can, and I can't do much in there yet, but it is something that anybody could really like. If you poke around with it long enough, you could actually learn how to use it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what game? I think that's made on Engine 5. You know what game looks really good? I sat down and really appreciated like 3 days ago. Mortal Kombat. That shit looks good. Mortal Kombat 1 is that shit's realistic as fuck.
And it is a hell of a look. Wowie. Tekken 8 is technically incredible looking, but it's also a Tekken game, so that means it's probably a very good fighting game. Tekken is fun as hell. Like, it's, since its introduction, always been a game that people love. I've always come back to Tekken whenever they release a new one, and I'm never disappointed, at least in how the game feels and plays. Sometimes maybe there's some issues surrounding it, but these are smooth, fluid fighting games that I really enjoy and can't wait to dive back into. I won't have to wait too long either. Tekken 8 is landing on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC January 26th.
You guys excited for a new Tekken, or are you done with it?
actually I'm excited for it and I'm getting it because it's well, I wouldn't say I'm getting it 100%, but I'm leaning toward getting it. From like you, Cobra, and Carrot, as y'all know that we've been playing Tekken since the early Tekken days.
Yeah.
And then, but I did take a break from Tekken.
When they pulled that bullshit.
Yeah, when they put all the pay for play and unlocking all these extra characters you gotta pay and buy, extra DLC. I was not a fan of all that shit. But since we, part of the gaming channel, I am thinking about getting back in and doing some streaming. So stay tuned for the Meta-4, my Tekken road trip back to Tekken 8. So
yeah, I might get it for my kids. They kick ass.
At number 9 is Persona 3 Reload. As you know, Falcon the Game Bird has always been a big Persona fan, and I'm quite excited for a remake of Persona 3. It has been a long time since I've played Persona 3.
I was just about to ask, is anybody familiar with that? Judging by your response, you are, Mr. Fife?
Oh yeah.
Okay, it looks like an anime.
I played the last one. What was that, 5? And I didn't like. The gameplay was super fun. I really enjoyed the game. Like some of the story elements, I'll just say it like that, were not to my taste. But overall, like the gameplay and everything was fun. But I heard Persona 3 was actually one of the best ones, so
It's my favorite one they made.
yeah.
Why is that? I don't know nothing about this game. I'm waiting for y'all to say, like, what do you do?
Was
like The Sims or some shit?
No.
No.
it's a I played the original Persona 1 and 2. I think I played 3, the original one. But it's a RPG. It's like a, JRPG.
Mhm.
So it came along, back in the old like Final Fantasy days and stuff. It's just a JRPG that at the time, like the game takes place in more modern times. Most traditional RPGs were in some fantasy setting, like medieval and stuff like that. But this one took more of a modern time approach, I guess. It's like typically high school students in Japan or whatever in
How they
90s
fighting
or
over girl?
2000s.
I mean, they fighting
Nah,
over a dude.
nah, not really. There's a whole Persona, I think, was a card game, at least in the original game. I don't know what it is on the later ones.
Mr. Fife,
This
did you know this was coming out?
No, actually, no, I did not. So I was kind of pumped when they said Persona 3.
It say Persona 3 Reloaded.
the reason it's called Persona is because I think in all the games you have like an alter ego that has like powers and stuff, and you access it in different ways.
Is that the one where is this an anime too?
I don't.
Not that
I
I'm
don't
aware
think
of.
so.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I was about to say that's not the one with the dudes in the classroom snapping the fuck out. All right, never mind.
I did kind of play the re-release here recently, but I didn't really beat it because I knew this was on the horizon. It's essentially Persona 3 and Persona 5 quality, and I'm there. It takes nothing to get me in the door on that. I mean, they've really done a lot here. Unfortunately, it does mean some of the content that was added after, like the female protagonist or the epilogue chapter, that stuff's not there, but they have redone all of the animated cutscenes, and it really is like Persona 3 at Persona 5 quality. Apparently, there's going to be a lot more environmental stuff you can do too. They haven't altered any of the dialogue or that kind of stuff, but I mean, come on, why wouldn't you want to play this if you're a Persona fan? Or just a fan of these kind of like weirdo, goofy ass, let's talk about society, but let's do it through the lens of a bunch of crazy crap. Oh, and also, like, you have to go to school and crap, and it's weird. Also, I mean, everything about Persona is super weird. It's heightened to a degree where I'm sure it probably turns some people off, but these are interesting games, to say the very least. I'm excited for this.
It looks
It's coming to
good.
the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC February 2nd. At number 8 is Alone in the Dark. So, what is regarded as perhaps the progenitor of Resident Evil is being brought back in the very same way that Resident Evil 2 and 3 were so incredibly successful. In fact, the developers, Pisces Interactive, were brought in by THQ Nordic to...
This has something to do with Resident Evil?
No, they were.
The original came out before. Oh, go ahead.
You can go ahead.
No, I said the original came out like before Resident Evil. So they're saying like this type of game, like Resident Evil got their idea from them kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, attempt to replicate the successes of those games. Much like those games, it takes the fixed camera tank controlled Alone in the Dark and makes it into a third person, over the shoulder, much more modern experience. Now, I'm personally very excited for this. If you want to kind of see how it works, there's a demo out right now called Grace in the Dark. It's a prologue chapter. It kind of sets you up with expectations as to what this exactly is going to be. I think it really does a good job showing that this is going to be a great remake. I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be pretty big. It's coming to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC March 20th. And number 7 is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, I absolutely...
Who the fuck keep asking for this shit here?
I know I don't.
I haven't heard a fucking soul say anything good about Suicide Squad and these off-brand fucking comic book games.
I didn't like the movie. I didn't like the... Actually, I never really played them, so... Not a fan of it.
And it's probably about to look fucking awesome.
Want to note that this is maybe a controversial pick, but we're talking about big games that people are going to talk about a lot, and whether this ends up a bad live service style game, even if it's not necessarily a live service game by the time it comes out, or if it turns out to be very good, I think people are going to talk a lot about it. I obviously hope for the latter. This is the last Batman performance by Kevin Conroy, and it's a dark one from the looks. The game is set in the Arkhamverse, however, it takes place in Metropolis, and all of the real big, great superheroes have been taken over by Brainiac, and it's your job to kill all of them. I, like I said, really do hope that this turns out to be a good game. The idea is honestly not something we've ever really been able to play.
If it's gonna be like DC Universe, I'll play it.
I actually did like DC Universe, the game. I played it for a little bit, and I went back maybe a couple of years, but that still doesn't warrant me to play this game.
I just downloaded DC Universe a couple weeks ago since I got this big ass hard drive. I don't know. Am I the only one that tries to play old games and just be like, oh, they don't have the same blush as it did before and get right off?
I love playing old games.
I was like, it depends on the game.
I guess it depends on the game because some old games, like I've been playing Call of Duty 3 lately.
Really?
I go.
Mhm. And
I go
4.
back and I'm an RPG fan, so I always go back. I play Chrono Trigger at least once every year.
I can very rarely go back. Maybe once
Like
my memory
superhero
erases it.
hunting, that's potentially quite good. But also, given Gotham Knight and all the live service stuff, there is good reason to be skeptical about this. So, good to note, great potential, also potential to be a big flop. Either way, we're all going to be talking about it a whole lot. It's landing on the PS5, Xbox Series, and PC on February 2nd. And number 6 is Skull and Bones. I mean, allegedly, we're actually going to get Skull.
How long this shit going?
That's what I was just about to say. Wait a
Long
minute.
time. A long fucking time.
I remember you was looking forward to this co-roll a long time ago.
Yeah. Like I thought this shit should have been out by now. Maybe that's why I ain't got it, because it ain't never came out.
and Bones. They've been advertising it pretty heavily. I've been seeing commercials for it. This game's been in development hell for a long ass time. This was originally developed as an expansion for Assassin's Creed Black Flag as a spin-off MMO called Black Flag Infinite. That was way back in 2013. This project has also been a money hole, allegedly costing over $120 million.
But I was just, it is funny he said that, because I was about to say they probably got $75 million just in advertising.
Now, what I
What
was
we
going
got
to
is, oh, go ahead.
say, no,
I'll
I was
just
going to
go
say,
back.
God damn it. No, I go.
Go, motherfucker.
Black Flag was my favorite Assassin's Creed
That's
game,
what I'm saying.
so I'm
Black
looking
Flag,
forward to this.
the ship battles in Black Flag was fucking phenomenal. I enjoyed the fuck out of just sailing around, blowing up ship. I wasted a lot of time blowing shit up in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Like,
Oh,
that's
shit.
awesome.
I waste a lot of time on Modern Warfare. Is it 3? Where we at right now? Modern Warfare 3 or 2? Modern Warfare 2. It's 3?
3.
Anyway, I waste a lot of time giving money away.
Last year, there have been a couple of closed
zombies.
betas, and people
I
have
will
come
never-
away from them.
I will never buy another Call of Duty game after this one.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know about never, but I'll be doing some extensive research before I buy it.
you just gotta remember it takes about, nah, never mind. I done messed it up. Oh well.
Weirdly optimistic about the game. A lot of the time, this type of thing happens over a decade, and then, you know, you get something like Duke Nukem Forever. But apparently, people are thinking that it's actually a pretty fun game with a surprisingly decent story. Now, I can't comment as to the validity of this information. I did not play the betas, but I'm not as iffy about this. I mean, I've seen a lot of game footage, and it looks fun. I think the reason why we all wanted this game in the first place was because the ship combat in Black Flag was quite good,
Yeah.
and it looks quite good here. Now, there is bound to be some degree of confusion because this game has existed for a very long time, and there have been a few different ideas as to what this was supposed to be, but it looks pretty straightforward to me from the gameplay, and it looks pretty fun. I'm excited to give it a whirl, and if it's as fun as it looks, I think that we've got a winner. Skull and Bones is landing on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC February.
You know what I would like? I would like a Game of Thrones or House of Dragons game, open world.
That would be amazing.
That would be dope, but they'd have to do it fucking right, not ruining it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like the writing would be the hardest part. I think. Like the gameplay probably wouldn't be that hard for me.
I mean, look at all the shit they got. If they gonna take their time,
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
be good. I'm
Do you
still
think it should be like a new original character, or should you play like a character that's established in the game, like Jon
Racing.
Snow or somebody else, or Daenerys?
No, I think it should be like a open world game, kind of like I want to say like DC universe meets uh this game right here, but what's it called?
Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones. Yeah.
Skull and Bones, but yet like have like a
So you pick which town you want to start in, and then
yeah,
you
like you
gotta
can go to
work your way up in the
Westeros.
political system.
If you can either you could fly a dragon or you get that by horseback, and I would make it realistic too. Like if you're going by horseback, you don't
So
have
you want to? Oh, my bad.
if you don't have the experience, it's gonna take you longer to get to the other side of the map than it would if you got the dragon. You know what I mean? But what were you saying, Sabi?
Now, I was just saying, so you want it set in the Game of Thrones universe, but not necessarily with Jon Snow and Daenerys, but set in the same universe. Okay.
They
You
can
could
make
have
them
them in the world. Yeah, I was gonna
right.
say what
They
you
could be
said.
NPCs that you can't choose, you can't get. Like kind of like how what is that game that you motherfuckers had me buy and we only played it one time together?
Which one?
That's only one game. We know what he's talking about. Trying to be funny.
You fucking bastards. What is it?
Talk about the Ghost Recon,
Ghost
Wild
Recon.
Wildlands.
So you can do it like that, like make an event like, hey, you heard that Jon Snow, you got to fight him and he's really hard, and you got to meet him over here to fight him and shit like that. Like make it interesting instead of just like pushing it all out at one time. Like, maybe next month you'll fight the mountain. You know what I mean? Or something like that. And you have to meet him in a certain place and you get this and that for beating him if you can beat him, but he's super hard. Like it could be fun if they do it right, like Mr. Fife said.
I mean, they've got a huge world with a lot of moving parts, a lot of interesting storytelling, a lot of interesting characters. So the writing wouldn't even be that hard. It would just be how to blend this new character's narrative into like what's happening in the story.
I would slowly feed the main characters from the actual Game of Thrones universe into that game. Like for instance, you heard me say fight. Okay, Jon Snow's a dope fighter. He's hard to beat. Maybe next month, you'll do like Ramsey, or after that it's the Mountain. But then I'll do like a special like this month you got to fight the fucking Night King, but it's gonna take, instead of take you and your team of 6, you got to get up with 20 other squads, the team of 6, just like how they did in the fucking show to beat the fucking the Night King and shit. You know what I mean? That'd be dope as fuck. That'd be dope as fuck, man. They could be good.
Toward the end, it'll probably end up being better than the show.
Yeah. You let us get a hold to that motherfucker.
Fix all the problems.
And number 5 is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Disc 2 of the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Sabis, do you even play Final Fantasy anymore?
I played the part 1 of the remake. I didn't. I kind of lost a lot of interest in these Final Fantasy remakes. I like the traditional ones.
Not only that, they're spacing them out so long. It's like I hate having to wait to find out what happens next. So I'm gonna have
Star Wars. You gotta wait 10 to 15 more years to see what happens.
I'll be fucking 65 before the last one come out.
Yeah,
see the whole story.
I hate that they do shit like that.
Yeah, slow down.
If you liked the Final Fantasy VII remake, it looks like it's a much bigger, more advanced version of it. For instance, the synergized mechanic is now a part of the main battle system. The main battle system, I of course gave a lot of praise for the first time around. I'm happy they have retained it rather than attempt some big change in that. I think it's a large part of Remake's identity because it does so much in retaining a lot of the elements of the original turn-based system in what is more or less an action RPG format. In all seriousness, this is gonna be a great game. I like what they did with the first game. I like that they kind of made it so you don't really know what's going to happen because this is some part of a time loop in some way. And I think that that is a fun and interesting idea that kind of toys with the idea of a remake while also allowing us to have a remake. Probably the most interesting events in the entirety of the Final Fantasy VII narrative are pretty close on the horizon too. So I'm just really interested to see how this version plows through them, especially.
One thing I will say, I don't know if any of these games gonna be shitty or real good, but they look really dope. They look every game we've seen thus far looks really good.
Given the idea that things could change. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is landing on the PlayStation 5 February 29th. And number 4 is Homeworld 3, a direct sequel that happens after the previous 2 games. This is a real-time strategy game. This series spans back to 1999. There was recently a remaster as well as a prequel, and that stuff did really well. And they're like, yeah,
shit looked like a remake of Star Fox.
I've never even heard of this.
Yeah,
they said 1999.
Yeah. Fuck that game.
And finally, at number 1, it is Dragon's Dogma 2. I mean, Dragon's Dogma was pretty misunderstood when it came out, but it grew to major cult classic status. If you're not familiar, it's an action RPG that you got a lot of hack and slash stuff going on. You can feel a little bit of Devil May Cry influence, but it's also its own thing for sure. It's a Capcom game, so there is a fair...
You disagree with that?
I don't think it felt anything like Devil May Cry. That was a weird comparison.
I think it's a little accurate. The combat I think plays a little similar. I wouldn't say it's yeah.
He would know. He used to play the shit out of that.
I played Devil May Cry. I don't like.
Yeah, but you wasn't as dope as Sabius though.
I wasn't. I was not great.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, like in Dragon's Dogma, like you have classic, action RPG elements where you just hack at the monster. But then you got like all the weapons have different combos that you can pull off. And then you can mount and climb the monster and do some of your combos on them. Then you also have a magic system that is completely different and separate from the melee combat system. And then you can merge like the melee and the magic together. I didn't see any of that shit.
So it's Devil May Cry meets God of War.
I'm just saying I'm not saying they're exactly identical.
No, I don't know if I like carry this insolent tone. I don't know if I like it. Like it's Devil May Cry. We're moving on.
It's not.
The
controls
and combat are similar.
I didn't see the combat. I would say it's more like, what was that game? It's a super old game where you could climb the monsters, but it was like a slow pace.
I
Devil
instantly
May
thought
Cry,
of
you're
God
not
of
climbing
War.
monsters. You're not climbing monsters in Devil May Cry. So that's one thing. Yeah, the Dragon's Dogmas has over Devil May Cry. But I'm just saying, like the controls in combat, like the combo, and like you said, the weapons. They each have different styles of combos and different things. There's not like magic per se in Devil May Cry, but they do have abilities that are like magic-like. That's all I'm saying. To me,
Fair
the
enough. Fair enough.
controls in combat are similar. That's
For
all.
anybody
That's all I'm
watching,
saying.
if you're a huge fan of Devil May Cry, do not think this game will be Devil May. This is not Devil May Cry.
If
Don't go
anybody's
expect-
watching this, Virgil will be there.
Right. Don't go in expecting Devil May Cry. You're going to be disappointed. It's a much slower paced game than Devil May Cry. But it is amazing for the type of genre it is. It is way like the combat blows all the other games like this away for
You know,
sure.
I'm a story person. How's that story?
If it, oh,
No, go ahead. That's all I was gonna say.
it's not a really in-depth story. Basically, if you played the first one, basically you was a regular person. You lived on a farm, and a dragon came and attacked the village that you were living in. You and a bunch of villagers try to fight it, but you get killed. The dragon takes your heart, it rips it out your body, and it eats it. And then once it eats
That's
your
not
heart,
nice.
you become the Arisen. So the Arisen is a person that's basically destined to fight the dragon.
Okay.
So and Dragon Dogma 2 plays a similar thing. There's the same thing with the Arisen. You're still Arisen. I don't know if you're the same person from the first game, but you basically are Arisen. And there's a dragon that comes in and takes your heart. So you basically go on a world adventure to either fight the dragon or become friends with the dragon, whatever.
Yeah, when you beat the game and see like what actually like is happening behind the scenes, you find out that it's a cycle. So it makes perfect sense that in part 2 you would also be Arisen. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's like, I'm gonna go play it before the new one comes out, which you should, because it's great. But the I kind of like the story. It's just odd.
Mm.
Yeah.
It gets more involved when you get more into the story, but that's just the basics.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a dragon that steals your heart. So you either fight to kill the dragon and get your heart back.
All right.